The year was 1952. It was a scorching day in Faraday, Louisiana. Jerry Lee Lewis, just 17 years old at the time, spent most of the day with his best friend Cecil Harrelson. They hung out at the local arcade, playing pool, flirting, fighting, and enjoying a wild but unforgettable time together. Jerry Lee often dreamed out loud about releasing a real record someday, just like the ones he had heard on the radio. His heroes, artists like Hank Williams, Al Jolson, and Jimmy Rogers, had all achieved fame through their records, escaping the poverty that had been a constant in Jerry Lee's life. He was convinced that he was better than all of them combined. Cecil, having heard Jerry Lee's dreams countless times before, finally suggested, "Why don't we head to New Orleans and find a place where we can get you recorded?" Jerry Lee knew his family wouldn't approve, especially since he was a married man, but the allure of New Orleans, its good whiskey, and the promise of discovering those infamous loose women was too tempting to resist. So a few days later, without informing anybody, they set off for the big city. Navigating the unfamiliar city life, Jerry Lee and Cecil felt utterly lost. Neon signs pointed the way, and they soon stumbled upon a place where they could sample the renowned New Orleans whiskey. As they entered, skepticism greeted them. The barkeeper immediately noticed that neither of them looked anywhere close to 21. It was Cecil who did the talking, convincing the barkeeper that Jerry Lee was as skilled on the piano as Chet Atkins was on the guitar. The barkeeper listened as Jerry Lee played the keys, amazed by his talent. An agreement was swiftly arranged. One song performed equals one drink for each of the two young men. As soon as Jerry Lee Lewis began playing and singing, the drinks flowed freely. The once half-empty venue quickly filled with people, all witnessing a show unlike anything they had ever seen or heard before. Jerry Lee, fueled by both music and alcohol, played into the early hours of the next morning. It was like the life he had always dreamed of, but little did he know the nights like this would eventually become his everyday reality. The regular patrons even paid for a room for the two friends. For Jerry Lee, it was a novel experience. First time he'd ever slept in a room with running water and indoor bathroom. The following morning, still a bit tipsy but brimming with confidence, the duo scoured every recording studio they could find. Unfortunately, they faced rejection at every turn. However, their persistence paid off. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon a place called J&M Studio, owned by Cosimo Matassa. J&M Recording Studios, located at 838-840 North Rampart Street in New Orleans, Louisiana, holds a significant place in music history. Operational from 1945 through spring of 1956, this unassuming studio space played a pivotal role in shaping the early sounds of rock and roll and rhythm and blues. The studio was established by Cosimo Matassa and his business partner Joe Mancuso. The facility occupied a modest 15 by 16 foot room in the back of the J&M Music Shop. The elegant Federal-style building dating from around 1835 stood on the edge of the French Quarter. J&M Studios birthed several seminal titles that would become rock and roll classics. Good Rockin' Tonight by Roy Brown, The Fat Man by Fats Domino, Tutti Frutti by Little Richard. Other important hits recorded at J&M included Tip to 'Em by Professor Longhair, See You Later Alligator by Bobby Charles. The studio's early equipment was basic, a dual Presto disc recorder without tape editing capabilities. Despite these limitations, the raw performances captured during those sessions remained remarkable. The introduction of tape in the early 1950s improved the recording process. Starting in 1947, national independent labels flocked to New Orleans, seeking the city's distinctive sound. Labels like Deluxe, Imperial, Atlantic, Mercury, and others recorded at J&M. A core group of talented session musicians emerged, including Lee Allen, Herb Hardesty, and Earl Palmer. Despite having recorded all these famous artists and the fact that Jerry Lee was a nobody back then, Matassa would still remember Jerry Lee and Cecil many years later. In his own words, quote, "It was a slow day. Usually we had bands coming in by the clock, but on that very day nothing was planned. My friends and I were playing a round of poker in the back room when two kids walked in, dressed like hillbilly farmers and smelling of whiskey from 2 miles away. The blond kid, a cocky boy, faced me like a hawk and told me he wanted to record a song. I informed him that I don't do run-ins and was ready to send him back where they come from. Then his buddy pulled out $2 and explained that it was all they had, and that his friend was a sensation on the piano. I didn't expect much, but I felt sorry for these kids. So I instructed the kid to sit down at the piano and informed him he had exactly 10 minutes. When he started playing, I knew he'd make it one of these days. I just knew it. By that time, we didn't hire artists anymore, but this kid seriously got me thinking. It was the best piano playing I'd ever heard in my life. After recording 2 songs, they stuck around for another hour or so, and the kid could play every song I asked him to play. A real talent on the way to becoming a genius. On that day, Jerry Lee Lewis recorded a high-pitched version of Don't Stay Away Till Love Grows Cold and a boogie instrumental called New Orleans Boogie. Before we conclude today's story, let's all listen to these 2 songs. Imagine a 17-year-old Jerry Lee Lewis sitting at his piano, determined to prove that he had what it takes to be a star. Thank you for tuning in to part 3 of our killer stories. Now let's enjoy some good music, y'all. Rock on.
Boogie woogie. Please don't stay away so long, darling. Don't stay away, your love grows cold. Sweethearts, there can never be no parting. Don't stay away, your love grows cold. We share all kinds of weather, sun, the rain, the snow. If we can always be together, our love just can't grow cold. Please don't stay away so long, oh darling. Don't stay away, your love grows cold. We share all kinds of weather, sun, rain, the snow. If we can always be together, our love just can't grow cold. love grows cold.